Hello, I'm Steph Morrison from HSLDA Canada, and I am here with Joseph Brink. Thank you for joining me today, Joseph.
Hello.
So, Joseph is a homeschool grad, and we are actually doing a series of videos specifically on this stage of homeschooling. So, the high school years, the life after homeschool years, and it's a little bit tied in with our new publication we just put out. So, this is the College and Career Guide for Homeschoolers, and you can find that at hslda .ca/cc guide. So you can get that magazine, that digital version for free and see everything we have in there, particularly for that life of high school and looking at what those post-secondary options are. But don't think that that is just for if you are just at the stage of starting homeschooling. This is actually a great publication to check out too, because it gives you a real firm foundation on the many options. So today we're here with Joseph specifically for the reason that Joseph is a homeschool grad, and he's gone through a writing program, a really a mentorship program, which he's going to share more in depth about, to pursue a writing career, and not a just I'm going to write once in a while career, but a full-fledged fiction writing career, writing books and other great stories. That way. So first, Joseph, why don't you share a little bit with us about your homeschooling background?
Yeah, so I was homeschooled my entire life. I live in the Ontario, Niagara region. And so I was involved in homeschool groups in the local area. But yeah, I always loved homeschooling a lot. It gave me a lot of flexibility with my time, which allowed me to pursue hobbies, especially writing. And I think it prepared me really well for a life in writing, because it meant I grew up reading a lot of books and grew up surrounded by those sort of things. My mom grew up reading to me. I had a lot more time with my parents since I was homeschooled. There just were many blessings of being homeschooled.
Yeah, it's and one of those things of just how you mentioned about that flexibility. I mean, whether it's writing or so many other interests. I mean, I've heard a lot of people getting into music, and they were just able to. It's not that you can't get into any of these just going through the conventional public school system, but because the customized education, just for you, Joseph, or just for any homeschooler that parents set up, it's easy to make that, oh, I see my child has an interest, and they can just go with that while still covering all the other essentials of a good primary and secondary education. So tell us your process. So you talked a little bit about even just how you had more flexibility and getting some following that interest of writing, but tell us how you really got pursued that writing career and really made a go of it as you were kind of graduating, like the high school years, and even maybe what you did in the high school years specifically that prepared you for this post-secondary path of writing.
Mm-hmm. So I spent a lot of time just writing in my spare time throughout grade school and high school. In high school, I joined a program called the Young Writers Workshop. It was a Christian online program that provided support for me as a writer. And from there, then I ended up going to this post-secondary school called the Author Conservatory, which is basically a college alternative program completely dedicated to helping aspiring authors build out all the different skill sets they need to be an author. So not just the writing side, but the publishing side, the business side, how to market books, how to pitch yourself to agents and publishers, all the things. So that was super valuable, that education. But it was also helpful that I'd prepared already before then by doing a lot of writing throughout high school, writing a lot of books back then. They weren't very good books, but it still just, helped me exercise.
I've even heard some authors, like even published authors, even say how some of their books, even after having published works, it's like it's not always great, but it's that craft of writing and doing it again and again and again, coming up with the stories and figuring out those um, different ways, because I would say in my own experience writing, it's not, and even teaching my kids writing, there's not just one way to write and to process and think of that writing. I mean, there's some good guidelines to follow, but it's nice to have that experience of really pursuing kind of different ways. Like, how does word writing work for you? So one of the things I wanted to talk about, actually, we talked just a little bit before we went live here about the author conservatory, and really talking about it being more of a mentorship program. I mean, you talked about the really solid, because it almost, I bet you actually really got a good business train. Like, what would be comparable in a college level chorus, in a college chorus on business administration or management, a lot, because that is really what making it as a writer is. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, you can always pay somebody for that, but when you're starting out, the business side, you need to know that. You need to know how to present yourself and get yourself online. And so for those watching, you can see the Author Conservatory there. It's just authorconservatory.com. See what uh, that program is like. And you can also, there, I just wanted to have your website come up again, Joseph. Josephbrink.com is where you can see what he's done for his website, what he has for his books. So now I actually want you to talk just a little bit about really a few details. What was most meaningful to you as you went through the Author Conservatory program?
Yeah. Um, there were a few things that really stood out to me from my time at the Author Conservatory. One was being able to build a community of other young writers. Most of the young writers who go through the program are Christian because the founders are Christians. And even though it was all online, we had a lot of time of giving feedback on each other's stories, being on Zoom calls together, helping each other brainstorm. And it really was cool to connect with all these other writers who we're not all going to the same genres, but we all have the same heart for storytelling. And most of us are all Christians, and or many of us were homeschooled. So just very cool connections I made there. And it's really awesome being able to have that support and that encouragement as I go into writing, and being able to have people who I can bounce ideas off of. So that was definitely one huge blessing of the program. Another huge blessing was being able to have a very intense level of feedback on my stories, especially through the planning phases, from professional editors and professional authors. That was super valuable. And the program is more of a mentorship program than your typical college or university. So you really get to know the instructors, and you build relationships with them. And those are relationships I know that are going to last. So I'm very thankful for that. And also just the business side was a huge, huge blessing. I personally do not like business type stuff. That was this part of the program that I was the most scared about going into. But I saw the importance of it. And so I put in the effort to actually practice the business skills they wanted me to practice. Part of that meant I had to actually start a pop-up business through the support they had from the business instructors there. And that has grown me in so many ways. It's really pushed me out of my comfort zone and helped me to grow a lot of courage, but also just helped me to grow a lot in my comfortability is not a word. It helped me to be a lot more comfortable in marketing myself, marketing products, which has been very valuable. And it's a skill that I know will be very valuable, even if I don't end up going with writing in the long run. And the cool thing about starting my own pop-up business through the school meant by the time I was done school, I had completely paid off the school and made more than the thing cost. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool. Good reason. I mean, that I really feel that best way for us to learn, no matter what age we're at, but still for kids, for teens, for just getting into your 20s, for sure, is to learn by doing. So the fact that all this business you were learning, I'm sure you got lots of theory in there, just of business management and entrepreneurship, but actually being able to do that and apply it to the real world, because the real world tells you how good your business is and whether they want to pay anything for that. So whether you're providing value or not. I also, one of the things that came to mind when we were just discussing a little bit, getting together and talking about this, was the authors. Like, there were actually some pretty big name authors that they had teaching you. Now, the one I remember the most, because I've read the whole series and love it, is the Wingfeather Saga. But I forget the author's name. So fill in his name and maybe even a few other
Yes.
authors that were there, because I know there were names I was familiar with.
Yes. So Andrew Peterson is the author of the Wingfeather Saga. He's also a songwriter who wrote like Is He Worthy and a bunch of songs like that. So he knows a good deal about marketing and those sorts of things. So that was super cool getting to connect with him through the program. S.D. Smith, who wrote the Green Ember series, was also an author who came in and taught us. Both them and many other authors like them have come in for a few classes. They're not like full-time instructors. But for our full-time instructors, we have authors like Brett Harris, who wrote Do Hard Things, Kara Swanson, who wrote The Heirs of Neverland duology, and a lot of professional editors as well. But yeah, for the guest authors who we've had come in, there have been a lot of very cool people. Christopher Paolini, who wrote the Aragon series, Marissa Meyer, who wrote Cinder and the sequels. So yeah, it's been very cool getting to connect with all sorts of people in the industry.
Yeah, and knowing people that are and probably they're really sharing through that process, because most authors that I hear of aren't saying, "Oh yeah, it was a big hit right away." They're kind of sharing a little bit about that process, which is a little bit quite valuable. You can learn a little bit from somebody else's mistakes and maybe not make those yourself. But especially to learn that process and know that even when you're against a little bit of, hey, this is not seeming to go really well. I'm not saying whatever it is, whether it's the writing process or the marketing or the promotion, that's actually part of the process. So you just got to keep pushing through. And I would actually even suggest that as even those that are watching and parents that are watching. I'm a homeschool mom myself to a 14 and a 17-year-old. So we're into this area with both the boys, really thinking about and encouraging them on what they want to do. And it is, I will say that there is nothing really concrete. My 17-year-old wants to go out and work to make money. That's his main thing right now. So we're trying to encourage him in different things and the benefits of, for us, it's like, okay, why don't you just try out Bible college for a year and get to know yourself away from, all your family ties and what you're used to as a kid. And so, I just want to share a little that little bit about all these different paths to post-secondary, to life after homeschool, and it's so vast. And I like one thing you mentioned before, Joseph, even that you've chosen writing right now. That's your career. You're as I heard you said before, like, this is what you seriously want to make your living out of writing. It's not just something you're going to try to fit in at the side, right? You want to do this full time. However, that may change in the future, right? And you don't have to be like, no, I have to be a writer and that's what I'm going to be my whole life. You can, taking those writing skills to other things, but you could very well get into, another 5 or 10 years. Maybe you do have great success even in your writing career, but then you want to do something else. So just remember, you all those that are watching, it's not a pick one thing and then that's what you got to do, and that's what your kids got to do. We need to put our kids on a nice path of, yeah, it's great to have what are your interests and follow that, but not be stuck into it that you have to do this forever, because that's kind of how, especially when I think how God works in our lives. He doesn't have us just do one thing, right? He starts us off somewhere that's probably going to give us the right direction for things we're going to do, the right skills for things we're going to do in the future. So one other thing that I want you to share for sure. So you've talked about a bit of the mentoring program and pursuing your writing career. So tell us about the actual product of that. So you have a book, and I'm going to just show it here nicely beside us. So Voices of the Future, Stories of Adventure and Imagination. So tell us about this compilation, because it's not just you, not just your writing, but it's a few others, and where we can find that.
Yeah, so this was one of the culminating assignments basically that I got to do in my final year at the Author Conservatory. So that was very cool to get to go through the whole process of writing a short story, getting it edited by professional editors.
Mhm.
I had to go through a few different tries of short stories because they had a very high level of quality that they wanted for these collections. And then I had to do me and my classmates who were in the anthology with me had to do all the marketing ourselves. So that was
Perfect.
a very cool way to get to practice some of those skills and also get to see the individual fruits of our marketing efforts pay off, because we each were marketing our own individual links through which we made our own profits through.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's been a really cool experience, and getting reviews on my story and seeing that people are resonating with it and seeming to enjoy it. So if you are interested in checking out the story, you can find it at josephfrank.com. So that's where you can purchase a copy.
And the story specifically that you've done in there, can you give us just like a little summary, the nice little synopsis of what your story is about?
Yes. So it's about these two siblings, Timmy and Milo. Timmy has to stay home with his little sister Milo to take care of her for an evening while their parents go out, and they're in this new house they've just moved into, and it's a real fixer-upper, and they start hearing weird noises coming from within the walls. And I will say no more. You have to read it.
All right, there's the teaser for you. Yeah, it sounds like a great story. And how many stories are in there then? How many different stories?
There are 14 in this one.
Oh, awesome. Great. All right. Well, that is so we've covered where they can find more about you. Go and check out his website is actually pretty cool. So go and check that out, even just to see how he's done because you would have done your website yourself.
Yeah, I designed
Right?
it
You
myself.
put it together, and you probably learned that part. I mean, that's a big part of promotion. Today,
Mhm.
you have to have a website. So yeah, you can see that his genre is a little bit of the spooky, scary kind of stories, as he shared with us in this one. But some of his other writing, that's kind of at least where you're going for now, right? That's
Yeah,
kind of what your
for now.
genre is. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me, Joseph. And I look forward to reading your stories as well and getting this book here. He even has a little thing on there where you can order it from him. He will give you a signed copy. And
Yes.
so if you're in Canada, I believe you don't ship to the States or international, and that's available on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he has the link there on his website. So go and check out his website and check us out for our future videos that we'll have for you, especially a whole lot of them on this great stage of homeschooling, the high school, and life after homeschooling. Thanks. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.